Hello and welcome to the 7th installment of my Story Corner. Geez, it's it's been fun making these, and I'm really glad that people are enjoying them and watching them and interacting. I've gotten a couple comments recently, like, this is crazy. But anyways, today's going to be a little bit different because what I'm going to be talking about today is a webcomic and not an animation or even a video of any sort. And so, with that in mind, if I would love to hear some more recommendations for things to talk about, whether they're animations or you can also do webcomics. If you know a good webcomic that you think I might like, I'll totally check it out and maybe make a video. So yeah, please comment. That'd be great. That'd be absolutely great. So today's comic, we're going to be covering Chapter 1 of Fragile by Cooper Berg or Deercliff on the internet. And it's on like 3 different websites, so you can check out the description. There's gonna be links to where you can read this there. Probably one of the best things, one of my favorite things at least about webcomics are editor's notes, and there's some pretty fun. This one has some pretty fun ones. So you should, even after you get the gist of the first chapter, I would suggest reading it. Just on the actual sites instead of just watching this to get the gist of it, because I'll be talking about it, but I won't cover literally everything. So without further ado, we're going to start with the cover here. It's very, very beautiful. I really like the art style, scratchy titles, and there's the image of the moon in the top left there, and that's gonna be important. The moon is very important. Actually, I feel like this really sums up, at least for what I know of the comic so far. So it's a very well-made cover, not only because it's aesthetic, it also has our main characters in the corner there, but it's also got some hints at little things to see in the future. There's a dragon. There's a lot of purple, which is an important color, at least I think it's an important color. So yeah, let's get into this. The cover for Chapter 1 here, and all of the chapters are titled in Latin. If you don't know Latin, then that's fine, because Google Translate exists, and then you can have a vague understanding of what the author actually meant. And so, I'm not going to try and read this because I haven't done Latin stuff since I was in the 8th grade. So that's not going to happen. But I will sure attempt a translation. From my understanding, depending on whether or not this is a question or a statement. There's not a question mark, so I don't think it's a question, but it could either be interpreted as what leads to an arrow or that which leads to an arrow, depending on some things. And it's a very bad translation because maybe it's a different type of Latin, because there's 2 types of Latins and all that thing. Happy. Okay, but you get the basic idea of what it's talking about. There's arrows and things. There's a big picture of an arrow and some stuff around it. Is that like feathers? Is it like fur? Is it cloth? Well, maybe we'll interpret that some more later when we have some more information. But anyways, let's keep going. All right, it opens up with our two of our main characters, Garrett and Elliot. Elliot is the one-winged boy, and Garrett is the wolf mama. And yeah, they're lost a little bit, looking at their map there. I really like the paneling just throughout this series. It's really good. It's really good. I like it. You'll also notice that Elliot has lost one of his wings and thusly is very poorly balanced. And Garrett reveals that it has been 3 years, or at least roughly 3 years, since Elliot has lost his wings and thus his balance. Also, this shows that they've been together for 3 years, so maybe the losing of Elliot's wing had something to do with why they're together. So, yes, knowledge and learning. Continuing, Garrett hears something and runs away for some reason. And now the sad little wingman is all by himself. Oh, hey, I just thought of that. What? So you could say that Elliot is Garrett's wingman. Hey, that's pretty good. Okay, moving on. And although we don't quite know yet what leads to an arrow, what follows an arrow is a thunk noise, as Elliot gets pinned to a tree by probably a very good archer to unless that was an accident. I mean, it could have been an accident, in which case they're still a pretty good archer, considering they hit that close to his head. But if they were meaning to pin him to the tree there, that's a really, really good archer, like crazy good. See some spooky green eyes through the darkness there. Elliot's not having a good time. And now he is at bow point. He's being held at bow point by this wolfy person, who we later find out is named Rigga. But Wolf Mom will have none of that. Wolf Mom doesn't like it when people hold their wingman at bow point. Also, I was contemplating, is it bow point or arrow point? But if you think about it, you don't hold someone at bullet point, so you wouldn't hold them at an arrow point. It doesn't make sense. So I think this is a really good. This page specifically it's a really good display of Garrett's character. It also shows that there is some sort of animosity between wolves and wings, as is shown by the fact that these two wolves, who at least to my knowledge have never met before, it's just kind of know that they should not be protecting a wing. So yeah, Garrett's like, none of that. You can't shoot my friend. He's my son. Not really. Also, Garrett points out Rigga's ear has been bitten or bited. I'm not an English person, guys. I speak English, but I don't speak English. I do speak English. It's my primary language, but I don't. It's a bite on the ear, and it's also fresh because there's blood still. I mean, it could be a couple days old, or at the very least, Rigga has not cleaned this ear since it has been bitten. It doesn't appear to be currently bleeding, so it's obviously not brand new. But also through what Garrett says here, that implies exile, probably from a wolf pack, because wolves are in packs. That's just kind of how it works. So we learn that Rigga has been exiled from the pack. And so then we got some nice, pretty stuff. Cleaning of the ear, which just also shows that, it's fresh. It's not just bloody because bloody. So yes, overall, this series displays very good attention to detail. Speaking of attention to details, you'll notice that our wolf mama, Garrett's ear, there's a hole in it. But, however, although Garrett did say that they were both exiles, Elliot and Garrett are exiles, this does not mean that they were necessarily kicked out of a pack, because reasons we'll explain in a second when we get to that. Also, Garrett mentions that they didn't take Rigga's whole ear, and Rigga is like, because I didn't have my pack notch yet, which is obviously what that Garrett has is. It's a pack notch, which appears to be some kind of coming of age type thing. Anyways, we're also near a stream. I really like this panel, this entire page, because it's got the background in the stream and the water. It's just really pretty. And so now we get a fun little moment with Elliot. By the way, Elliot is me, just so that you're all aware. If I was a little bit more ticked off, I guess. I guess I'm not as mean as Elliot, but Elliot's just me. And a good little wolf mom stare, death stare there. But this is also some good background on Garrett and why Garrett is well, not why, but just some good characterization for Garrett, because Garrett doesn't think that Rigga deserves to be left in the snow to die. So now Rigga's all clean. And, this is a little symbolic. Like, the blood was still there. It was like this freshness of, I just got kicked out of my pack. And then Garrett's like, just kidding. You're fine. There's no blood left. You don't deserve to die, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I feel like it is symbolic of the, just Garrett's kind of ignoring the fact that Rigga did get kicked out for a reason. We don't know what that reason is yet. Maybe Rigga was holding people at bow point, but that's besides the point. Elliot's still kind of pissed that Rigga tried to shoot him. We also get an explanation for exactly what's going on. So yes, Garrett's son has been missing for 10 years, as is explained in one of my favorite pages of this chapter. There's a lot of purpley. It's just really... It's really cool. I mean, there's almost too much to go in depth about. But anyways, so 10 years ago, they were attacked by some wings, which also just verifies, yes, wings and wolves don't get along generally. They won the battle, but her husband was killed and her son disappeared or something. And then Garrett looked for him for 10 years and still has not found him. It's kind of a long time. And so then 3 years ago, so getting a timeline here, 3 years ago, Elliot lost his wing and joined up in the search for Garrett's son. Probably because he didn't have anybody else. He's also some kind of outcast, maybe because, I don't know, some kind of emphasis on the whole having wings thing by the Wings, considering, I mean, their name is Wings, so they obviously care a lot about having wings. So maybe, just maybe, that's an important thing. Who knows? Continuing on here. It just so happens that Rigga knows someone who might be able to help. Who may even know the moon, which this is why I think the moon is important. It's all purpley. Purple things are important. The dragon was purple, and you know the dragon's got to be important because it's a dragon. So Garrett says, "Lead the way," and gives Rigga her bow back, and we get a beautiful shot of the purpley moon, and it's about half crest. I'm gonna call that half moon. So then the establishing shot of the next page shows in the first one it looks kind of halfish, and it's kind of hard to make out exactly where it's at, but you'll notice that it's on the thing. Maybe that's not a thing, so I'm not sure. I just got a text. Alright, so the moon is still present. However, the moon, its angle has changed. So that depicts that it's at least later that night. Also, I'm not totally 100% certain about this, but in the very bottom, the very last panel, it looks like the moon is a lot smaller, so it could have been a couple days. I don't know if that's important, but there's just a lot of detail here. Lots of details. It's pretty neat. So they open the door, and there is a mysterious, spooky purple wolf with an entire ear missing, which means that this person was kicked out of their pack later in life than Rigga, or at least that's my assumptions, that it's an in-life type thing, it's a coming of age. Alright. And so it appears that Rigga and, I think Ver was their name? I gotta go back and read that. Ver. Yeah, that's right. Ver. I don't know how to pronounce that. That's the one thing that scares me about doing comics, is I feel like I'm going to mispronounce everything. Alright, but Ver and Rigga appear to know each other, at least recognize each other. Now, the first thing that people would probably say is, hey, look, they both have amber eyes and vaguely similar-ish markings. Maybe they're related, but why would they be related if they don't? If Garrett can't actually remember where this person's from. So that's a really dumb theory. It's a theory, and it has some vague backing, but it's a pretty dumb theory. Also, you'll notice, I really like this page here, but you'll notice that Garrett mentions one of his eyes being amber like hers, and I really like how it zooms up on that eye, but then Vera finishes, the other shines purple like the moon. Perhaps Garrett's other eye was purple. We don't know, because it's either gone or like the eye is shut or whatever, and Garrett can't see out of that eye anymore or whatever, but we don't see that eye. And so maybe it was purple, and maybe that's significant because purple appears to be a fairly significant color. Again, entirely speculation. I just realized there's a dog in here. And there goes my phone again. Don't people know that I'm recording? Purple is significant, so maybe having a purple eye would be significant because it seems to be related to either magic or knowledge. As far as I can tell so far, that's just my immediate assumptions. I'll change this. All my thoughts are subject to change as we read on. But so far, it seems to be connected to some form of importance, regardless of what that importance is. Oh, this page is so pretty and so good that I'm not even gonna show it. I want you to go look at it yourself, so that I can feel better about having this comic here. Go read it so you can see this beautiful page. It's my favorite. It's page 21. It's so pretty. It's really aesthetic. But also, it further establishes the importance of the color purple, because glowing purpleness also, Ver has seen Garrett's son in the liminal mountains. You know what it's called when you mine in the liminal mountains? It's the subliminal mountains. Hey, that's pretty great. Okay, so that seems like a long time, but also it's fairly recent considering that Garrett's been looking for him for 10 years, which means he's at least alive 2 years ago. Also, it's noteworthy that is within the time that Elliot has been searching with Garrett. So that's a thing. But Vera says that's all they know. And so they all leave, but it's also evident Vera knows why Rigga got kicked out, and it seems to be a bit of a touchy subject to some degree. Either that or Rigga's just pissy. I mean, it could interpret it whichever way you will. I really, just the paneling, so good. Also, Rigga's sleeping, and they're like, obviously Elliot's still just a little bit on edge about having a wolf who tried to kill him in their party. But Garrett seems to trust Rigga, so it's just a thing. Some really pretty coloring in this. I love these pages here with the firelight. Also, Elliot mentions that the place they're going to is where he used to live before, and he vaguely alludes to the losing of his wing there. He's pointing at his bad wing, or I guess it's not even really a wing anymore. But he also seems kind of stressed, and he's like, I can't go back, but we have to. And that symbol at the bottom there marks the end of the chapter, and that is the first chapter of Fragile. So far, to me, it seems that the only real fragile thing in this is Elliot, but that's just me. I really love this comic. I have read past this. I'm up to date with it currently, which is a weird thing for me because I read comics in binges. Like, I can't just read every page as it comes out, but I'm actually caught up with this one at the time of recording this, and I have to say it's a great comic. I would definitely suggest reading it. There's links down there for it. So tell me, what did you think of this comic? What do you have to say about it? What do you think the importance of the color purple is? Like, I feel like it's an important color. What do you think? Well, thank you for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful day.